A lifetime of conditioning under the tenets of communism at first made him scoff and resent such waste. But the beauty and possibility advertised by such design quickly crept into and excited his bitter heart. This bygone city, eclipsed and barely persevering in the shadow of communism, represented but a fraction of the wealth and opportunity he would find in the West. In America, the land of prosperity and dreams, he and his family would eat meat every night. They would buy Levi's blue jeans, wear comfortable shoes, and Alina could go to a salon to have her hair done every week. But the thing he looked forward to the most was living in a house with central heat. In America, we will finally be warm. Squinting into the wind, he spied the landmark he was looking for, grand equestrian statues flanking the eastern entrance to the Anichkov Bridge. As he approached, the horse tamers came into focus. 4 sculptures, depicting men in the various stages of breaking a stallion, had been commissioned by Emperor Nicholas I and sculpted by Pyotr Karlovich Klot. On Dmitri's side of the street, a bare-chested, kneeling horsemaster pulled against the reins of a rearing stallion. Despite not being an actual sculptor himself, Dmitri did consider himself an artist. Where Klot was a sculptor of bronze, Dmitri was a sculptor of iron and titanium. Where Klot depicted man overcoming nature, Dmitri's art literally empowered his fellow man to tame the sea. At this very moment, Marco Ramius and his crew were traversing the depths of the cold and unforgiving North Atlantic. Inside the Red October, they were warm, provisioned, and immune to both wave and weather. But take away the metal and the machine, and they wouldn't last a day. "I would have liked to have gone to sea on my creation," he murmured as he approached and stared up into the wild eyes of the rearing stallion. "If only for a day. It would have been enough." He'd met the captain at the Red October's christening ceremony. Handsome and self-assured, imposing in his naval officer's black and gold parade uniform, Ramius had almost been too intimidating to approach. But Dmitri had mustered his courage and introduced himself to the man. Ramius's handshake had been firm as iron, but it was the submarine captain's dark and penetrating eyes that had unnerved Dmitri. Eyes that seemed to peer beneath the flesh and into the inner workings of Dmitri's soul. In that moment, he'd felt judged and stripped naked, as if Ramius had extracted his secret plan to betray the homeland with merely a look. Then, something unexpected happened. Ramius had thanked him, acknowledging the engineer's attention to detail, his ingenuity, and the thousands of hours Dmitri had spent working tirelessly on the design of the Red October. "It is the finest warship in the Soviet fleet," Ramius said with a stoic nod. "Thank you, sir," Dmitri said, with a stoic nod of his own. "Exceptionally quiet, plenty of power, and armed to the teeth." But then, with a wry smile, the sub-driver added, "My only complaint is that she is so bloated she changes depth like a crippled whale. Maybe you can fix this flaw in the successor class." "Ah, that is good to know. I will make a note of this," Dmitri said, and that had been the last time they'd spoken. "I almost feel bad for him," Dmitri thought, imagining the intrepid sub-captain patrolling the ocean depth with false confidence, believing his ship and crew to be immune to detection. "Once I give this data to the Americans, they will know how to find you, Marco." A dribble of snot from his nose ran onto his top lip, pulling him back from his romantic ruminations to the new journey he had planned for himself, and he wiped it away with a finger of his glove. He pulled back the cuff of his coat sleeve to check the time on his wristwatch, which read 10:42 p.m. The time for daydreaming about the future and reminiscing about the past was over. In 3 minutes, his contact would meet him under the southernmost arch of the bridge, where they could talk in shadow. Dmitri was no